Welcome to the Driven Moms Answering Adversity interview series, stories of success through setbacks from Mom Elevated. Together, we can shine a light on how normal challenges and struggles are, along with how we can overcome and rise above them. And today we have Nicole with us to share her story. I'm excited to dive in. It's going to be a good one. So, Nicole, can you just briefly share with us a little bit about your story to start?
Yes. So I'm Nicole, the founder of Fbombs and Booze. It's a handmade, sweary, and snarky drinkware brand. And I also coach handmade makers and Etsy sellers to grow and scale their businesses as well. And so this business kind of started as a joke. I was a store manager of a major grocery chain before doing this. And I had recently been transferred to a new district, a new store, because they wanted me to fix it. Well, it turns out that it was not my cup of tea, and I was starting to develop some serious anxiety and depression going to going to work every day. I have to cross a bridge to get to, and my store was on the other side of the bridge. And as soon as I got to the front side of the bridge, I would get physically like sick to my stomach and nauseous and just like start crying. And then I would go to work and I would call my fiance every single day crying about how much, I hated it and stressed out. I never got to see my daughter, who was 1 at the time. And after I think all of those tears finally broke him. So one day I called him, he's like, just put your 2 weeks notice in, we'll figure it out. I was a breadwinner then, and I made more than double he did. And so that was terrifying, but I know I needed to do that to save my mental health because I was not doing well for myself, for my family, and I needed a change. And so I took the leap of faith and I put my 2 weeks notice in. A month later, I started my business, and 6 years now is here I am, a top 5% Etsy seller. I've had my products sold in over 250 shops and boutiques internationally. And so I just want to help and inspire others to, take the leap of faith and start something new and give them some help along the way.
That's amazing. Also, not only was the spiral down so quick, but look at how quick it was once you finally made that decision to just end it and do something else. Like you knew something was going to happen. I mean, most ambitious people are like, I can't just sit and not do anything. But look how quickly that happened too on the other side of things. That's incredible. A
I
month.
know. I kind of feel like it was the final push from the universe because I've been with this company since I was 16 as a bagger. So I've been there. My last day was the day before my 17th anniversary. And throughout my career, as I moved up, it got, more stressful. It's a very intense career to have. When you're off, you're not off. Basically, they're always contacting you. And so I think me, like, always being like, okay, let me try. And I would interview somewhere else, but I'd be too scared to leave. And so I think I got so uncomfortable that I had to make the move. And I knew that the problem with my depression and anxiety was because of my career, because I had nothing else going on before, and I had an experience that intense. And so even once I made the shift and I quit, people who've known me for a long time were like, you are so different. Like, this is the Nicole we haven't seen in a long, long time. And so people would ask my fiance, like, how could you just let her walk away from, 6 figures? And he was like, the writing was on the wall. We were not going to be together anymore. Our daughter was going to have a really mad and mean and impatient mom. And so we had to do what we had to do.
That's incredible. What great support you had around that
I know
too.
I'm very lucky with that.
Fantastic. Well, and it made your decision easier, I'm sure, whereas, you're not combative with what's happening in your home either. Oh, that's great. So
Yeah,
obviously that's the adversity you answered, like making sure you did that. How exactly did you answer that adversity once you made that decision to quit and then moving forward? Like where did going from that to your F-bombs and booze, how did that come about in 1 month of
yeah, it's pretty wild because I'm not, at least I thought I wasn't a very creative person. When I started this, my friends were like, what the heck? And because I was always the one that goes to Etsy, like, let me buy all these decorations and stuff, not do anything myself. And so my cousin came over. I gave myself a month off to just kind of decompress. And then my cousin came over and we're like brainstorming my strengths and weaknesses and getting a resume together. Like, what is it that I want to do? And I had just recently got a Cricut, which is, I know not everybody knows what a Cricut is. So it's a cutting machine that you can cut paper and vinyl and fabric and create all types of crafts with. And so I was showing her a coffee mug I had made, and she was like, well, if this doesn't work, you can always be a Cricut master. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really think anything about it. And then a few days later, I was like, well, what if I just started doing this? So I started making stuff and posting on my personal Facebook page and taking, like, asking if anyone wanted to have or any custom orders made. And my very first customer was one of my old assistants from my previous job who had me make birth announcement shirts for them. And
Oh,
so I did something illegal, which I now know is illegal. I mean, I knew very quickly after, but it was Disney and you're not allowed, it's
mhm.
trademark, don't do that kind of stuff.
And they are very picky about it too. They
They
are
will get you.
sticklers. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that. I started my business. It was at the time inspired by BB because my daughter's nickname is BB. And so the inspiration of me quitting was basically because of her. And so I was offering everything to everyone. And my Etsy shop was just like a hot mess. Like you could buy whatever you want. I'll do it. Just like give me your orders, I'll do it. And then I had one wine glass that really took off and it had the F word in it. And so I thought, oh, maybe I should just make a whole line with that. So it says best effing mom, best effing cousin. And I did a whole line of that. And those became my top sellers. And that's when I transitioned to just drinkware, focusing on drinkware with snarky and sweary. And then I was like, okay, inspired by BB, like that doesn't resonate with what, like, who's gonna connect the two, right? And so I really wanted to have two B's in the business name still for my daughter.
Okay.
So that's where I came up with F-bombs and booze. Because
That's
there's F-bombs and the booze that you drink out of it and it has the BB in it.
that's so clever. I love that. Also, I really love like anything that shortens to mean something. So I think that's fantastic. I love acronyms and all of those. I think that's amazing and hiding it in there so it has meaning to you. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. That's perfect. Oh gosh. Okay. So what is it on a similar vein of adversity and answering and now that you're on the entrepreneurial journey, what do you think it is about entrepreneurs that makes us continue when things get really challenging, when times get tough? We don't give up. We're not going to say, "Oh, I'm just going to go get that six-figure job back. That was consistent, that was comfy, I could rely on that." What do you think it is that we're like, "Oh, we're gonna continue. Oh, here's a taste of what can happen, and we're gonna keep going."
I think, especially if you've had a past situation in a job that you didn't enjoy, and if for me, I just hold on to the like, I always say I don't want to go back to the real world because I like having this flexibility of like, I can do whatever I want whenever I want for the most part, within reason, unless I schedule something or orders have to ship on time. But like, if something comes up, we can shift things. Whereas, like, in my old life, I call it, I was never going to any birthday parties or events. Like my whole 20s was dedicated to this career basically. And so I missed out on a lot of things. And I know that being an entrepreneur, you have the uneasy, what am I looking for? You don't have always have an income, consistent income. Like your income goes up and down and comes in waves, especially with what I do in the product size because Christmas season is hot, but then like January it's slower. And so that is really stressful. But on the flip side, I remember what it was like to have the financial, security, but I was a mess. I was miserable. I was not functioning correctly. I couldn't do anything. I was basically felt like I was a slave to what I was doing. And so for me, and I know other entrepreneurs that I have around me in my circle, we just hold on to the fact that we want to be able to create more independence. We want to have more control of our lives and how we earn our income. I mean, if we feel like we're in a crunch, then we can hustle. And there's so many different ways that you can create more income within your business. Whereas if you're miserable at your job and you have that income, but maybe something comes up, you need more income, then it's really hard to pivot there. And so I think just holding on to the fact that we have so much more control, and we can always try new things and test things and try and get more or figure out what it is that we need in our situation that helps. entrepreneurs kind of stay like, we're going to figure this out and do it.
I love that. Well, and I think you hit on it too, is that there it is flexible. If you need more income at some point in time, you can kind of figure something out to make that happen. Whereas in your job, you're stuck. I mean, you can always pick up maybe an extra shift or something, but that's way more time dedicated to it as opposed to finding a different avenue in your business that you're already working on and as it is. I think that's really powerful, and if you take time off, you don't always have the vacation days to cover it. Sometimes you're taking time off unpaid, and that's so hard. That was one of the biggest things that we, have come across. My husband makes more than I do at the moment, but seeing, when we get to that 2-week limit, especially with our middle who often has extra appointments that we have to go to, um, when we get to that limit, we're like, okay, now we have to weigh. Do we need you to be there or do we need you to work? And it's such a hard thing to decide on because then he also feels like he's missing out, like you said, missing out on all the things because he has to be there in order to make that income. Whereas here, even if I'm working, my kids are usually with me. We've now transitioned to homeschooling, so they're really
Me
with me
too.
all the time. Oh, did you? Oh, I love it. So, it's been a really fun journey. I've wanted to do it for a really long time, and I just kind of, you know,
Yeah, it's
kicked the
scary to
dirt. Yeah.
change.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but we started from, homeschooling from the beginning. And that's another thing that being an entrepreneur has given us the opportunity to do. Otherwise, that probably wouldn't, we could do it, it would just be harder, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it kind of blows my mind how quickly they are finished with school now, and the fact that they actually, like, want to learn. I have a 13-year-old who was, like, very combative with doing homework and doing all the things because he was already at school 7 hours a day. I don't want to do this. Now it's like, I mean, he still doesn't love it, let's be honest, because he's been in school for 13 years, for however 8 years now. And so it's already ingrained in him that he doesn't love it, but he's opening up and he's learning things, or he's saying, hey, would this be a lesson? And I'm like, yeah, it would if you can like tell me what you're learning from it. So that's really fun. I love that kind of aspect. How old is your daughter now? Since she was
She's 7, so we're second
okay.
grade.
So it's been
Uh,
6 years that you started like the whole transition from job to entrepreneurship.
yeah, it's been 6 years that I've done that. And so after doing that and seeing like how things were with the schools and talking to my friends who are good friends who are teachers, and they're like, we would homeschool our kids if we could. We were like, okay, then let's do it. And so I also still needed to be able to, work because I have to physically make products and then coaching and everything else. So our daughter loves being outdoors, and so I found her a forest school that it's a homeschool enrichment program. So all the kids that go are homeschoolers, and you can go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or one of those days or 2 of those days. And she's going 2 of those days, and she absolutely loves that too.
Oh, does she ever
Yeah.
help you with some of your stuff for business? I
Oh
mean, they count,
yes.
right? As like art and possibly even science, the way that you
Yeah, and math and
Mhm.
there's all kinds of stuff
That's
and
so
business
cool.
strategies and things that, normal traditional learning won't teach you, right? So she'll help me like unbox things, and we have to count how many, tumblers we need to make to do all the orders for the day. Or she's even like, I want to start a business. So we're like, okay, well, write your list of all the things you need to do, your materials. And so that helps with her handwriting and learning how to spell.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love
Yeah,
it.
so we just tie in everyday stuff. I do, because I'm a me mom, I do force her to do some book work because I really want her to learn how to write,
Mhm.
because you can do the tablet and all of that, but that's a different motion. And I do get pushback on that, depending on how tired she is,
Right.
obviously. But
It's so
but
important. I do. I like that balance as well. I think that's really important. I think that's beautiful and so fun. It's so fun to listen to what other people do as well.
yeah.
So what do you think, back on business and back on track, what takeaway or overall lesson do you think that other mompreneurs would be able to use specifically from your experience?
I think that we're way more capable of things that we have no idea. I like if you would have told me 6 years ago I would be doing what I'm doing today, I would probably just laugh until I collapse because there's no way that I would ever do something like that. And so I think that if you start, like, if you have like a little nudge, I'm doing this whole thing following your nudge. So if you have like a little nudge, it's like, keep saying, maybe I should try this, maybe I should try this, then that's something you should probably try because you have no idea what's going to happen on the back end. And so the biggest struggle I see with moms starting businesses or growing businesses is time, right? We feel like we don't have enough time. And so I always tell people that just calendar, if you calendar even just 15 minutes a few days a week, that will get you so much further than you would ever know if you didn't do it, right? And so just those little pieces, 15 minutes pieces, put them in your calendar. If you don't have a partner at home, maybe you'll have a friend who has kids and you guys can swap. You watch the kids one day, all of them, they can watch them another week, and then you can get work done. There's so many ways to fix this feeling of time restraints that you can do it. You really can. There's thousands and thousands of moms out there doing it every day, and even though it may look like we have it all together, we don't.
Yeah, yeah.
We're having the same struggles and issues as you, but we just can prioritize things a little bit differently and break them down smaller, and it's just easier to manage and move forward with.
I love that. I also find that it's like managing our expectations on ourselves because like most of the time I'll let my dishes sit in the sink for
Mhm.
almost all week. I mean, unless I'm cooking a lot that week, but I usually am like, okay, Fridays or Saturdays are my designated dish day, unless it's like horrible. But like that way, I see it piling up. Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna bother me a little bit, but I can let that go because in the grand scheme of things, I have other priorities. It's the same thing. It's shifting expectations, but managing those priorities to say, it's gonna be there. I'm gonna get to it. It's okay. It's not filth. It's just a little mess, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Like letting that be okay and letting go of certain things that maybe either you put on yourself because of society or something that you learned growing up that you're holding to yourself. I think that's
Yes.
really, really important. And the timeline, 100% I agree with you about the timeline, especially for ambitious moms and driven moms. I'm realizing that a lot of it is we expect things. We're so good at getting things done that we expect the timeline to be really quick. And so, especially in business, it's usually a much longer timeline for us than we expect it to be or
Yes.
want it to be, and so it's really hard to, like, maintain that motivation to continue on because we're not seeing the progress we're used to seeing. So
That and we're seeing, all of these things people just flash, on social media, how they're balancing, motherhood and their business. And I don't think there is ever a balance. There's always something sliding, and then it's like a teeter-totter, and then it, goes back the other way, and that's okay. That's manageable. That's real life, how it works, and it's okay. And if you can learn to allow your dishes to pile up or your laundry a little bit or whatever it is, so that you can focus on whatever you need to focus and then come back to that and let it swing the other way, that's how you're going to get ahead, and that's how you're going to have less stress because, again, like the pressure, like I'm the same way. I put a lot of pressure. I think things should be like, I feel like I should be way further than I am in my business, and that's just not real. That's not how business is. It's not reality. It's just what we see as reality. A lot of people share all of the positives, but you don't see like a lot of the harder stuff in growing a
yeah.
business on social media, so then that's kind of messes with you as well.
Yep, perspective is everything, 100%. That actually was one of my words of the year one time was perspective, just to, like, make sure I kept myself on track for that and was like, "Hey, keep myself in check and say, okay, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm feeling. Let's match those,
Yeah.
okay?" And it is really important, and I love that you say, like, it's a teeter-totter because I always say balance isn't a thing, but finding your center is, because it's going to shift from day to day, from
Always.
moment to moment.
Yes,
So,
especially as moms, like you don't know because those little kids are so unpredictable.
not even little kids. My 13-year-old, sometimes I'm like, where did that come from? I did not see this coming. I love it.
Yeah, keep us on our toes.
Yes, absolutely. It's just different all the time. I love when
Yeah,
people are like, "Oh, it'll be so much easier when they're not toddlers anymore. It'll be so much easier when they're not babies anymore." It's like, no, it just changes. The challenge
yes,
changes. It's still gonna be the same. You're still gonna have to. I'm what? I'm almost 40. I'm still a challenge to my mom some days, right? So
that's true.
it doesn't change.
Me too.
It just changes. I love that so much. So what is the best way for others to find you if they want to see your Etsy store, work with you, learn more about you, or learn from you and open their own Etsy store and things like that? What is the best way? I'll have the
Yeah.
links in the description, but that way if they're listening in too.
Cool. Okay, so for my product side, it's on all socials. So Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram is Fbombs and Booze. My website's fbombsandbooze.com, and everything's housed there, product and coaching, because I do swear my coaching. So it's all there together. And then for the coaching side, I'm on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram is Fbomb Coaching.
Oh,
And
nice.
that's where you'll see like more business tips and growth and things like that.
That's fantastic. Oh, I am so excited. This has been delightful. I'm so excited that you decided to come on. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it so much. And I know I'm trying not to use the word hope, change your language. So thank you. We appreciate you being here today. I know I
Thank
learned a
you.
lot. So I
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I can't, not only on the homeschool side of things, but the business side of things. And I find Etsy so interesting. I have like a third party merchandise store, so I don't have to deal with that. But I find it so interesting. It is so unique, really. And there's so much that goes into it that kudos to you for learning it and figuring it out. And anybody that needs help, for sure hit you up, because I guarantee you it'll take much longer figuring it out on your own than tapping into somebody who knows.
That's a fact. That's how I grew mine very quickly, is right at the beginning. I joined a membership.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Genius. I love that. Okay. So your story obviously is very inspirational, and your willingness to be open about it is also very much appreciated and needed in this space and in this time. I think it's really important for others to hear stories like that. So thank you again for sharing your story with us and joining.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
It was, I could talk to you for hours, I think. And for all of those of you out there facing your own adversity, know that you're not alone. That's why we're doing this. That's the whole purpose of this series. When you need an extra hand or a mind for brainstorming during your mompreneur journey, obviously you can reach out if you need Etsy help to Nicole, but we'd love to work with you through the Mom Elevated Society as well. So you'll find monthly check-ins for goal setting and assessing, and so much more for both your business and your mom life. Until next time, keep shooting for the stars. Bye.